President Biden's $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Remember that? It has been 6 months since that bill was signed into law, and officials say there are now 4,300 different projects underway across the country, including over $110 billion to help modernize America's infrastructure and replace lead pipes to ensure clean drinking water. So let's talk about where things stand with this major initiative. We're bringing in White House Senior Advisor, Infrastructure Implementation Coordinator, Mitch Landrieu. Mitch, thank you very much for joining us. It's a big day and talk about this.
Hey,
this is something we don't often do this, do we? You know, we'll cover the passage of the bill, we'll cover the debate about the bill. Let's talk about what's happening. That's a lot of money. It's a big bill for the president. Tell us about the progress and the pitfalls that you see as really the manager of the rollout.
Well, first, thanks for having me. And as you noticed, the president is overseas taking care of our nation's security, but his direction is for us to keep our shoulder to the wheel and pound sand and continue to work on building what he calls a better America. So as you noticed in your opening, this is a $1.2 trillion investment on America's future so that we can win the 21st century. It's a once-in-a-generation investment. Most folks forget about legislation once it's signed into being, but actually it's got to come out of the ground. And that's what we've been doing for the past 6 months. So he signed the bill on November 15th. Our team has hit the ground running, as you noted. We have pushed $110 billion out of the door. There's $100 billion in what they call notices out also to the governor. We have 4,300 projects coming out of the ground in 3,200 counties, in 50 states, and in Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. We also, on behalf of the president, asked the governors to appoint infrastructure coordinators because the governors and the mayors are going to spend about 90% of this money. So we have to stay in coordination with them. And I'm pleased to announce that 53 of the states and the territories have done that. The president and the vice president and the cabinet secretaries have been crisscrossing this nation, telling this story. They've made over 125 trips in 40 states. And listen, I couldn't be happier. I think that it's really been a good partnership on both the federal, state, and local levels with the private sector and the not-for-profit sector. We have pushed out technical guides so people actually know how to get to us. You can find all the information about this bill at build.gov. We also have a build.gov/rural. As you know, we sent the secretaries across the country in the last 3 weeks. They hit 25 states and did a huge number of visits. So we feel really good about where we are. We have a lot of work to do. This is a long-term proposition for the country as we rebuild our roads, our bridges, our airports, our ports, our waterways, expand high-speed internet, and then get ourselves ready for a clean energy future.
All right, well, give me an example there. So it sounds like you've got a lot of people who want to play, obviously, when the government is spending money on things people like roads and bridges and high-speed internet and things like that. You're going to get a lot of participation, and that's good in this divided country. But give me an example of a project that's underway right now where people are actually seeing this money at work.
Well, first of all, let me check you on something. You say it's good in a divided nation. One thing most everybody in this country agrees on is that a bad road's a pain in the butt. And they need to get stuff fixed because this is going to form the basis of our economy going into the future, and that we need a clean energy future. Just yesterday, I was in Northeast Washington, D.C. With the mayor, and we were watching a number of really high-paid construction workers with good high-paying union jobs changing out an old pipe that carried lead water and putting in a copper pipe that's going to transmit clean water to a house. We walked across a bridge that has been built that reconnects communities that were separated by rail a long time ago, and we stood underneath a brand new light project that's going to actually light neighborhoods that have been dark, that are going to provide safety for neighbors. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Orangeburg, South Carolina, with Congressman Clyburn. We were talking about the investment in HBCUs. We were talking about infrastructure investments to reclaim that community, and we were talking about investments of doing research. The day before that, I was in Georgia with Secretary Vilsack, and we were talking about investments in watersheds to clean up communities. So whether it's abandoned mine lands or orphan wells, tomorrow we're making an announcement with the vice president to spend billions of dollars electrifying buses so that our students don't have to suck bad exhaustion and bad air, and they can go into school and learn. All of these things are happening right now as we speak all across America.
Well, that is good news, as I say. It is no secret, however, that Americans in general are very pessimistic right now about the economy. Stock market's volatile, obviously. Inflation is way up. Yeah. Now, there are some criticisms that this bill was inflationary, that it's part of the problem with inflation. and with the bad economy. It was too much spending at the wrong time. How do you argue against that? How do these projects help the economy right now?
Well, first of all, let me check your assumptions once again. Yep, inflation is a kick in the pants. There's no question about it. That's why it's the president's #1 priority. But the conversation about too much was not about the infrastructure bill. I don't think anybody said that about the need to invest in all the roads and the bridges and the airports and the ports. What they're skeptical about is whether or not we can actually get it done. Of course, a whole bunch of other presidents tried this all the way back to Eisenhower. And since that time, nobody's been able to put points on the board like the president has. This is a $1.2 trillion investment. Instead of having infrastructure week, we're going to have infrastructure decade. So I haven't found a person, even the people that voted no, want the dough on this particular bill. There's some other challenges on inflation, as you talked about, which is why the president's working every day to lower the cost and asking Congress to give everybody a break on child care, prescription drugs, health care. We've been investing in supply chains. And one of the reasons why the infrastructure bill is so important is because it's going to build the capacity to ease up the supply chains to actually get products from ships to shelves and eventually lower the cost for everybody. On top of that, yeah, inflation's a difficult thing, but don't forget to mention that this president has created more jobs in his time as president than any other president in the history of the country. And then today, it was announced that the lowest number of people are applying for unemployment insurance in the last 52 years. When we got here, 20 million people were applying for unemployment insurance, and today it's 1.8 million. So we reduced that number by a substantial amount. So look, you take the good with the bad. The president's the president for a reason. He gets all the tough challenges, but we're a one team, one fight, one mission organization. And this particular bill is going to bring the country together because that's what building bridges is supposed to do.
Well, it is bringing the country together. As you say, guys who voted no on it are not taking credit for it. And Ron DeSantis is down there in Florida doling out cash. And
somebody told me, look, I'm a politician. I was a state legislator. I was a lieutenant governor. I was a mayor. I've seen this a million times. People who even voted no, they definitely want the dough. Everybody's going to take it. Everybody's going to spend it. If they're gracious enough, they'll remember it was President Biden who brought the bipartisan group in Congress together. But you know what? It's okay. The president wants everybody to enjoy the benefits of this. Everybody's got to be pulling in the same direction to make it happen. It's a great thing that unifies the country, and I'm thrilled to be involved in it.
All right, Mitch Landrieu, the White House infrastructure coordinator on this big bill, 6-month anniversary, wheels already turning on it, it sounds like. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks, Terry. See you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.